Bullets are little pieces of metal that can be fired out of guns. At least that's what you probably thought they were. People, unsatisfied with little pieces of metal, have created all kinds of bizarre ammunition. Here's some extra special, extra strange bullets that truly take things to another level. Number 10. Silver bullets. This so-called silver bullet is not actually made of silver, so it won't kill a werewolf. It's made of depleted uranium though, so it can pierce armor. The shells burn off at the edges upon impact, which creates a self-sharpening effect. Military experiments with uranium shells has been ongoing since the 70s because uranium is nearly twice as dense as lead is, and there's plenty of it lying around. Depleted uranium is the natural byproduct of the process that's used to get the highly radioactive and most useful form of uranium. The Department of Energy has 500,000 metric tons of depleted uranium just laying around. So why not use it to make some self-sharpening bullets that can punch holes through almost anything? The downside is the shells are still somewhat radioactive and highly toxic. You may want to be careful with these things even if you're the one shooting them and not the one being shot at. Number 9. Jihad defense ammunition. While it's no longer commercially available, there was once a bullet designed for those who not only wanted to kill Muslim terrorists, but offend them at the same time. The now defunct company Jihad Ammo made bullets that were covered in a ballistic paint infused with pork. Since Islamic law forbids Muslims from eating pork, in theory these tasty bullets would be doubly dangerous for a Muslim opponent. The idea behind the bullet was to counteract the Islamic tradition that those who die in a holy war are going straight to heaven. Jihad Ammo claimed that according to Islamic law, if a Muslim came into contact with pork in any way, shape, or form, they couldn't get into heaven. In reality, this is not the case, as the Quran actually states that whoever is forced by necessity, neither desiring it nor transgressing its limits, there is no sin upon him. Number 8. Electric bullets. When you're using a taser, you're obviously limited in who you can electrocute by the fact that what you're shooting out of your gun is connected to your gun with lame wires. Traditional tasers use copper wires to carry the electrical charge from the gun to the target. Tasers are also imperfect, despite being designed as a non-lethal weapon. They've been involved in over 1,000 deaths. They can also be stopped by something as simple as a coat. For all these reasons, Kansas-based company Digital Alley is developing a wireless taser. Their gun shoots electric ammo that would stick into the target like a taser, but be activated by radio signals from the gun. The shooter could even choose to not shock the target after they've been shot if that ends up being enough for them to get the idea. The rounds will also serve as GPS tracking devices in case the target gets away. If you're looking for a less friendly kind of electric ammo, then what you probably want is the X-Rep. Like a normal shotgun shell, the X-Rep uses gunpowder as a propellant. However, instead of a slug or a round of shot, it's a little electronic projectile that weighs 3 grams. It's self-contained, shocks on impact, and has a much greater range than a taser since it doesn't require wires. Number 7. Flash Thunder. Why should SWAT teams in McCree be the only ones who get to use cool flashbangs? And why should you have to throw a flashbang with your hand like a lame grenade? You could sit around wondering, or you could purchase some 12-gauge Flash Thunder grenade ammo. It produces a stun effect using a super bright, blinding flash combined with a powerful concussion blast. It's used by Special Forces units all over the world, and now it can be used by you, even if all you want to do is finally scare those raccoons off your porch once and for all. It creates a 182 decibel bang and a 2 million candle flash. You can get 3 for just 18 bucks, unless you live in one of the many cities and states where it's totally banned. Number 6. Square bullets. Weird ammo isn't an entirely modern phenomenon, as the earlier entries on this list may have led you to believe. People have been trying to make odd bullets for hundreds of years, as evidenced by the puckle gun, patented in 1718, which could fire square bullets. It was one of the first guns to be called a machine gun, though that's definitely not what anyone today would call it. It required multiple people to operate, and was essentially a big tripod-mounted flintlock revolver designed to keep people from boarding your ship. It had 2 configurations, one for normal, boring round bullets, and one for square bullets. The square bullets were designed to be fired only upon Muslim Turks to, quote, convince the Turks of the benefits of Christian civilization. The gun proved to be ineffective and was never used in any war or combat situation. Number 5. Microjets. In the 1960s, some guys decided that the whole idea of a bullet just wasn't going to cut it for them anymore, so they invented the microjet. Microjets aren't really bullets at all, they're tiny rockets. They were created to be fired from a family of firearms called the gyrojet. Because microjets are essentially self-propelled, the guns had little recoil and could be very lightweight since they didn't need a heavy barrel or chamber that could resist the pressure of combustion gases. Unlike a typical gun with a typical bullet, the microjet would leave the barrel slowly and then increase in speed. Since they've been out of production for a long time and are highly unique, they've become a collector's item, and even the most common models will be about $1,000. Actually firing them is also pretty expensive, since microjets can cost over $100 a round. While the gun and the microjet was still being developed, the creators attempted to convince Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek, to feature the weapon as the de facto pistol for the show. Roddenberry, despite thinking that the microjet was cool, ended up going with phasers since he thought they were more futuristic. Number 4. Schwer Gustav. Maybe instead of getting more futuristic, you really just want to go bigger. If that's the case, then what you're looking for is the Schwer Gustav, a railway gun developed by the Nazis. It is the largest caliber rifled weapon to ever be used in actual combat. The only thing bigger in terms of actual caliber is the British Mallet's mortar and the American Little David bomb testing mortar, neither of which ever saw a real fight. The Schwer Gustav fired shells weighing 7 tons 30 miles. If you're in search of something you can actually still get today, then maybe the .577 Tyrannosaur round is more your speed. The so-called T-Rex is a round so enormous that when you actually try to fire it, you'll probably have a hard time holding onto your gun. It was originally designed to stop an oncoming charge from exotic game on safaris, and to be fair, it is understandable to want the biggest round possible when an elephant's coming at you. If the T-Rex doesn't do it for you, maybe you could look into the .950 JDJ. Despite their massive size, they have a sporting use exception, and thus can be purchased in the United States. Their power, however, makes them highly impractical for hunting, so it isn't exactly clear what sport they're for. Number 3. Beehive rounds. If taser rounds weren't enough to satisfy your deep need for strange shotgun rounds, then fear not, because there are even weirder ones. Fléchette rounds are perhaps one of the things you least want to be shot at you. Consisting of a bunch of sharp little needle-like projectiles, it may not be the most accurate round in the world, but it certainly looks scary. What they lack in stopping power, they make up for in aesthetics. BOLO rounds are another great but impractical idea in the world of wacky shotgun rounds. A little cable attaches to 2 little balls, and in theory, when it's fired, they'll go spinning and slice through your target. The only downside is if they land badly and the cable snaps, all you're left with is 2 pellets instead of the usual bajillion that a shotgun round would have. If you're not trying to kill anyone, then perhaps beanbag rounds are what you're looking for. Beanbag rounds contain a little fabric pillow filled with lead shot that weighs about 1.5 ounces. They're fired from your normal run-of-the-mill 12-gauge shotgun and go about 200 to 300 feet per second. They spread out in flight and make their impact over a square inch of target. The point is to avoid long-term trauma and penetration and just give the target a muscle spasm. Great for riot control, not great for permanently ending someone. The ironically named Cobra high safety ammunition is more what you're looking for if you're trying to permanently end somebody. Consisting of 3 solid steel darts inside a polymer sabot, the idea is clearly to do as much damage as possible by tripling the amount of entry points over a regular bullet. Number 2. Expanding bullets. Also known as dum-dum bullets, named after the Dum Dum Arsenal, a British military facility, expanding bullets are designed to increase in diameter. This limits penetration, but creates a bigger wound, with the end goal being to incapacitate the target. They're used for hunting, but are generally prohibited for use in war, as the Hague Convention of 1899 banned expanding projectiles that weigh less than 400 grams. One common kind of dum-dum bullet is the hollow point bullet. Hollow point bullets are generally used in situations where a lot of penetration could cause problems, like on an airplane where you don't really want to accidentally put a deep hole through something. They're also used in shooting sports as they can provide higher accuracy. If you don't really care about all that stuff and just want to see something crazy, then you should look at the G2 RIP. It begins its life as one bullet, and after being fired, it splits off into being several little bullets. Now that's terrifying. Number 1. Self-guiding bullets. You may remember seeing the movie Wanted at some point, or maybe just the trailers, and thinking that the idea of someone curving a bullet was totally absurd. Well, I hope you have Wanted director Timur Bekmambetov's phone number, because you're about to want to call him and apologize. DARPA has been working on self-guided bullets for a long time, and in recent years they've actually started to make some progress. Called X-Acto, also known as Extreme Accuracy Tasked Ordnance, the bullets use built-in sensors to read wind speeds, weather conditions, and changes in the position of the target. The bullets can then adjust their own trajectory. Yes, that means they can change flight paths after being fired. So start practicing your matrix dodges now, I guess, if you don't want to get shot in the future. Has this video convinced you that regular bullets are boring? Do you now have a strong desire to fire a strange and possibly giant round of ammunition? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.